Well, as you guys already know, my name is Kelly, and this is, something that I fundamentally believe AI is going to change the way that we're doing business. I have a firm belief that our industry is ripe for disruption. I have a firm belief that there is going to be one side of the real estate transaction that will be eventually replaced by AI. I won't get into that. I know it's probably something that you don't want to hear, and it's an argument that I continually have, and that's okay. But I look at it from a completely different perspective than a lot of people do. My two kids are 17 years old. They trust what is on their screen more than what they trust. That face to face, that person to person type of experience, right? And so, what I firmly believe is that in the future, in the not too distant future, within the next 7 or 8 years, you're going to wind up seeing ChatGPT came on the scene about 3 years ago, 2022, 2023, somewhere in there. It actually was built in the whole concept, the idea for it came in 2015. Elon Musk was actually a part of that whole group. There was a big group of them. Sam Altman ultimately wound up taking control of the company. There was a fundamental difference of opinion on the way that AI should be governed. Sam Altman, the people that started Anthropic, who actually own Claude, obviously Elon Musk, who owns X and Grok. Obviously the Sergey Brin and Larry Page, who own Gemini, who own Google. I think they all have a fundamental difference of opinion when it comes to the governance of AI, and that's why you're seeing a bit of a split between some of these AI owners in that they can't decide how this is going to proceed forward over the course of the next 3 or 4 years when we actually become there's some level of autonomy here where we achieve agentic AI, basically artificial general intelligence, which they are saying is about 3 years from now. So what I wanted to get into is just show you Claude, kind of give you an idea as to what the difference is between Claude and ChatGPT, the capabilities. ChatGPT is currently behind some of the LLMs like Claude, like Grok, like Gemini, Manus as well, OpenClaw. But they're going to be catching up. They will. I mean, they have to. If they don't, then they're gonna have some real problems here in the not too distant future. So what is Claude? Claude is an AI assistant. So the big difference between an AI assistant and something like ChatGPT, ChatGPT is more of a chat bot. ChatGPT, you can go in and have a conversation with it. In fact, ChatGPT was instrumental in helping my wife find a vehicle. She was struggling, having a real hard time with spending the money on a truck that she wanted. Going back to a 4Runner. ChatGPT actually acted as kind of like her counselor, kind of like her mentor to help her kind of
Oh,
mentally
wow.
get through this whole
I wonder
idea
why.
of should she spend the money on this truck or should she
No,
just
Leon has the same
let it
phone that
be?
we have. It must be loser.
Okay, you guys, if you're unmuted, please make sure that you mute yourself. Okay, especially if you're on another call while you're on this one. So that would be helpful. Okay, so Claude is more of an AI assistant. ChatGPT is more of a chat bot. Anthropic is one of the biggest AI companies in the world, and Claude is their product. So, like I said, Claude is not a chatbot. Yes, you can chat with it, but it can also read your files. It can write documents. It can send emails. It can build slide decks. The slide deck was built by using Claude. It can do actual work on your computer, and I'm going to show you a little bit of a live drive here later on and show you exactly what I mean. It's less like a search engine and more like a smart assistant sitting at your desk. Think about the smartest person that you know gets to sit beside you and act as your assistant. Like I mentioned Albert Einstein earlier in a conversation today. Like imagine Albert Einstein sitting next to you and having a conversation with you, or doing research for you, or writing emails for like the smartest person that you can think of. Now, you don't need to know how to code. You don't need to be technical. You can talk to Claude the same way that you talk to a real person. You just type in what you need and it goes and it does it. Or you talk into your phone, into the app, and it will go and do the same thing. Now, you can use Claude through the website at claude.ai. That's probably the simplest way to start. So you would go there and fire up an account. But there's also a desktop app called Cowork, which is also very cool. So that's something that I use on a very consistent basis. And that is the thing that, through something called an MCP, which we'll get into here in just a second, allows Claude to control my computer. So when I tell it to go and do a task, a lot of the skills that I have set up for myself already have within the documentation that they're going to use the Chrome MCP to basically open up my desktop, jump into the thing that they need to jump into, like Gmail, for instance, write the email and save it in my drafts or even schedule it for me. So I would definitely download the app for sure. You can certainly start with the Claude.ai going there and using your desktop version. But next level type stuff is actually starting to download the app. The next level after that is getting Claude hooked up with your terminal. If you're a Mac user, getting Claude hooked up with your terminal, and then actually doing some work inside of the terminal, which is connected directly to the computer. You're kind of sidestepping the Claude Cowork application and going just directly into writing code. So that could be something that you do as well, but not what we're here to talk about today. All right, slide number 3. So this is the question. The second question that I get most is, Kelly, I'm already using ChatGPT. Why would I want to switch to Claude? And I think that's a fair question. It's definitely a good one. The answer isn't that one is better and that the other one is a total piece of crap or it's garbage. They're both good, but they're good at very different things. So ChatGPT is great for like really quick questions, right? Write me a bio or give me 5 or 10 popular hashtags for Instagram, or what's a good subject line, or write me this email, or what a lot of agents use ChatGPT for, write me a listing description. Maybe it's like, give me 10 ideas for YouTube videos that will go viral. It will definitely give you all of that information. Now, for that stuff, I think ChatGPT is somewhat solid. I mean, I was using ChatGPT up until probably about 6 months ago for a lot of research type stuff, and essentially have moved away from it altogether. Claude is built for doing real work, and not just answering questions, but actually completing a task from start to finish, building a CMA and the entire presentation, drafting a week's worth of emails to your clients, prepping you up for a buyer appointment, autonomously sending emails to your seller clients, or at least saving them in the drafts. Those are some of the major differences, but here's one of the biggest ones. With ChatGPT, okay, memory saves automatically. You can't see it, you can't control it, and it's just up there in the cloud somewhere. ChatGPT decides what to remember about you. Okay, so its memory is up in the cloud, and it decides what it's going to remember about you. Now, you could put in there everything about yourself, like everybody talks about setting up your ChatGPT properly. You're going in, setting up all of your preferences. Absolutely, it's also going to file all of the queries, all of the chats, all of the conversations that you've ever had with ChatGPT. That's all going to get filed as well, and so it's going to remember all of that stuff. But a lot of that is up in the cloud. Okay, so the big thing with Claude is that the memory that it has lives on a file on your computer. Okay, you can actually go and open it up. You can read it. You can go in and edit it. You can delete things that you don't want in there. Ultimately, you own it. So if you look at the bottom line on the slide right there, it says ChatGPT is a chatbot. Claude is an AI employee. That's the mindset shift that I'd like for you guys to make today. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Cowork, expand on a little bit more than what we've talked about it already. This is where things I think get kind of exciting, especially considering the fact that I built a couple of different skills, a couple of different tools that completely replace money that I would have to pay for the same product. And I'm going to show you guys that in a live drive scenario very, very soon. Cowork is Claude's desktop app, like I mentioned before. Think of it as having that smart assistant, like I described, actually sitting at your computer with you. It can see all of your files, it can create things, and it can connect the tools that you already use, things like Gmail, things like Google Drive and Calendly, and maybe you've got Stripe or Notion or Canva. It will connect all of these things, okay? So let me walk you through really quickly what it does. So first of all, it reads all of your files. You can point it at a folder on your computer. It can open it up and work with the documents that you have. It can work with the spreadsheets and the PDFs, anything that you have in there. Okay, second, it can create deliverables. Again, if you need a slide deck, you just ask. If you need a Word document created for a client, you describe what it is that you want. It'll help you build it. Just ask for it. A report, a spreadsheet, a PDF, it will build all of it for you. Okay, third, it connects all of your tools, like I mentioned before, Gmail, Google Calendar, Notion, Slack, We're gonna basically talk about how it works in a minute when we get to the MCP. But the point is, it doesn't just live in a chat window. It actually works where you work. Fourth, this is the biggest one. This is the last one, and it's all in plain English. No coding, no tech skills. You can just talk to it like you would talk to a real assistant. Like, I could talk into my Claude app and say, I need you to draft up an email for the client I met with yesterday. I can have it. I can actually talk into my Claude app and say, I need you to go into my Gmail and type out a response to so and so that sent me an email. Read the email, and I think that we should talk about this, and it will draft the email for you and save it in your drafts. I've actually found a bit of a workaround on this as well,
Okay.
which is inside of Gmail. I'm sure that you guys know this already, but inside of Gmail, you can actually schedule emails to go out. And so, it says that, Claude will say, I can only schedule the email for you in Gmail. I can't send it. But the workaround that I found was, well, if you can write it and you can schedule it, essentially you're also sending it. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, I need you to go ahead and draft this email for me and then schedule it. So as an example, last week I had to send an invoice off. And so I said, I gave it an instruction, went into Claude. I said, I need you to go and find this invoice. I need you to update it, put the correct dates on it. I need you to download it as a PDF. I need you to go over to my email, draft the email to this person, attach the PDF to the email, and then schedule it for Monday morning at 8 a.m. And then I just let it go and do the work, and I didn't have to do any of it. It would be just like me sitting down and talking to an assistant, telling them, "Hey, can you go and get that invoice ready to go? Just send the email off to so and so and just attach it." Right. So that's basically all I did. And it went to work and did everything that I asked it to do. And so this is like having an assistant like right there on your computer, which is amazing. And it's, all that for like, what is it, $28 a month or something like that. The pro version of Claude is $316 for the year. Okay. So what are skills? So there's when I show you the live drive, when I get into Claude itself, I'll show you a couple of things. I'm going to show you where the skills are. I'm going to show you the connectors. I'm going to touch a little bit on projects. I'm going to touch a little bit on some of the other things that are in there. I'm not really going to go too deep on a lot of this stuff. Again, this is more a high level overview, but essentially skills. I'm going to build a skill for you guys today. Skills are probably one of my favorite concepts, and it's actually really simple once you hear it. So skills are like your standard operating procedures for AI. Okay, so if you've ever written a checklist or a process document for your business, you already kind of have an understanding as to what skills are. Here's the problem without skills. Okay, so let's say you ask Claude to write a client proposal. You go back and forth, you change the formatting here, use this shade of blue, put the price at the bottom, not the top. Maybe after 15 or 20 minutes, you've got something that you're happy with. Okay, so you're continually having to go back and forth with Claude and make edits, similar to what you would have to do in ChatGPT, actually. Then next week, you need another proposal. And unless you're working in the exact same session, Claude has completely forgotten all of those preferences. So you're essentially starting from scratch. With skills, you just teach it one time. Okay, so you tell it one time, you teach it once, you package up the whole process, your format, your tone, your steps into a skill file, and it's like a recipe card. So it comes back to it every single time before it starts anything else. Once you fire up that skill, it will go to that recipe card and identify everything that it needs to do before it even touches any of your other instructions. Okay. So if you say create a proposal, it follows the exact recipe. No reminding, no repeating. I heard one AI expert say it like this: once you explain something once, you never have to explain it again. And this is the part that really matters for your business. Skills really compound over time. So the more that you build, the smarter your AI gets. So week after week, it just gets better and better and better and better. Okay, I'm going to make this real for you guys. Here are 5 skills I think that you guys could start building today. And I'm going to show you how easy this is here shortly. So we got the listing presentation skill. Okay. You can teach Claude exactly how you want your CMA formatted, your colors, your layout, your data points, your branding, like all of your colors. You can, if everything is on your website, you just give the website URL and it will take everything that it needs from the website. Every time you need one, it'll build it the exact same way, totally consistent, very professional, and very fast. Number two, client market update skills. So once a week, it'll draft a personalized market update email in your voice, not some generic template, but your words, your tone, tailored to the specific content. Okay. Morning brief skills. So this is something that we talked about at the top of the call, right? So every morning, Claude checks my calendar, it scans my inbox, it gives me a summary of my day, who I'm meeting with, when things are due, and what needs my attention. At the very beginning, at the most important things that need my attention right at the very beginning. You can build out a blog writing skill. Which will essentially know your brand voice. It'll write blog posts that sound like you and not like a robot. Now, the cool thing about the blog skill is that if you give it instructions on Google SEO best practices and then allow Claude to actually crawl your website so it has a good understanding and idea as to how many pages you have on your website, it will know that piece of blog content and which pages to connect that blog to within your website. So it'll operate off of Google SEO best practices, which is super important if you're creating content of any kind and hoping to get found organically on Google search, which is important, I think, today. We've got SEO, search engine optimization. We have something that's coming that's already here called GEO, which is generative engine optimization, which is AI generative, which means when people start, the average general buying and selling public are essentially using ChatGPT as more or less a search component, search engine, search tool. They're going in and they're saying, who is the best condo realtor in Calgary, right? So if the content on your website has a generative engine optimization component to it, there's you're going to increase the odds, at least the probability, that you're going to wind up getting found through those search portals, essentially. Okay. A blog writing skill, SEO audit skill. So I alluded to that. So I built out an SEO audit skill for myself. So it went through my entire website, told me where I was falling down, told me what I needed to do. And then basically I looked at the 27 points that it gave me. And I was like, listen, I don't have time to do this. I don't have the expertise or the know-how to jump in and do all of this stuff. You go do it. And so I put my laptop on the counter. I was at home and it took about 30 minutes and it was completely done. 30 minutes, had it completely done. Everything checked off. There was one thing that Claude didn't check off, unfortunately. And that was one thing that he identified as something that he maybe didn't want to do because he didn't want to break the website. Okay, so which I totally appreciated. He's like, I could do this, but there's no guarantee that I'm not going to break something. So here's how you do it. You go do it instead, which was kind of cool that he actually recognized his limitations. Okay. You remember I talked about the MCP before, right? So this is a bit of a techie term. I'll try to make it really simple. So MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. Forget the name. This is actually what it does, okay? Before MCP, if you wanted your AI to talk to Gmail, you needed a special connection just for Gmail connector, okay? If you wanted it to talk to Google Calendar, you needed that different selection. Slack, another one, a different connection, right? Every tool had its own language and your AI had to learn them all separately. MCP is like a universal translator. This is how I heard it explained. I thought this was brilliant. Gmail speaks Chinese, okay? Google Calendar speaks French. Google Drive speaks Italian. And then you've got the MCP that takes all of those different languages that like Slack speaks, Japanese. It takes all of these different programs that all speak different languages, and the MCP makes it so that the AI can actually understand it, turns it all into English, right? So the MCP is just basically a universal translator. It's one standard plug that lets Claude talk to any tool, Gmail, Calendar, Notion, Slack, you name it, one plug, every tool. So this is kind of where this magic happens, because now your AI isn't just talking to you in a chat window, it's already connected to the places where your work lives. Like I said, in Gmail, in Google Calendar, in Google Drive. It can read your emails, it can draft up replies, it can check your calendar and find free time, it can update your project notes, it can send a message to your team if you're utilizing Slack or WhatsApp. That's what the MCP does. It takes Claude from a smart assistant that talks to a smart assistant that acts. All right. This is where we put it all together. So we talked about Claude, we talked about co-work, we talked about skills, we talked about the MCP. This is the framework. So building your AI employee comes down to basically 4 pieces, okay? Number 1 are context files. This is your AI's onboarding document. Just like you'd onboard a new assistant, you tell Claude who you are, what your business does, what your preferences are, what your tone of voice sounds like. You write this once and it carries into every conversation. Number 2 is the memory. This is what Claude learns over time. It learns your client names, it learns your corrections, it learns the processes that work. It remembers things so that you don't have to continually repeat yourself. Number 3 are tools via the MCP. So these are things like Gmail, Google Calendar, Notion, your CRM. This is how it takes action in the real world and not just talk about it. And then number 4, the last piece there are the skills. So these are the step-by-step processes that Claude follows. Your proposals, your follow-ups, your morning briefs. Teach once and just use it forever. Context plus memory plus tools plus skills, okay? Context plus memory plus tools plus skills. That's your AI employee. Once you built it, I'm telling you, it just continues to get better and better. This is actually kind of the part that really gets me excited because this really compounds the whole thing. This kind of gives you an idea as to what you'd be looking at. Okay, so week 1 of utilizing Claude is definitely going to feel like work because you're teaching it pretty much everything. Now, you've probably watched a video or you've heard Guru talk about downloading all of the knowledge that ChatGPT has learned about you over the course of the last, 2 years or 3 years, and you can upload that into Claude. I myself have not done that. And I've done that purposely because I wanted to work with Claude from scratch. I wanted it to get to know who I am without there being any sort of biases injected into the LLM whatsoever. I built out my preferences, but that was it. And it's basically learned everything that it needs to know about me over the course of the last 6 months or so. And really, I feel like has performed a hell of a lot better than ChatGPT ever did, which is actually saying something because ChatGPT has actually gotten pretty good over the last couple of years or so. So week 1 is going to feel like work. You're teaching it everything, your voice, your style, your preferences. That's normal. Think of like training a new assistant on their first day or within their first week or their first month. So by month 1, Claude should know all of your preferences. You got maybe 5 to 10 skills already built. Tasks that used to take you 30 minutes are now only taking 5, and you're starting to feel it. By month 3, Claude is handling entire workflows, meeting prep, email drafts, proposals, follow-ups. You say one thing in the morning, and it'll run an entire chain of tasks for you. And the numbers on the right side of this are real. Once your AI employee is fully trained, you're looking at probably 10 to 20 hours a week. That's not a guess. It's what people who are using this are actually reporting. Some are saying anywhere between 5 and 15. I like to go on a little bit on the edge, maybe 10 to 20, I think is probably a little bit more realistic, considering all of the hours that you guys put in to your business on a daily, on a weekly basis. Think about even from a transaction coordinator perspective, if you're coordinating if you don't have a TC and you're doing all of your own paperwork and whatnot, like this is something that can be taken off of your plate by creating your own executive assistant or TC within Claude itself. So what are kind of some of the next steps? So I'm going to kind of go through this. Your number one thing is obviously go to Claude.ai. Just start a conversation, ask it something, get comfortable with the interface. It's free to try out. I'll get this question. I know I will. You guys will post this in the chat. You'll ask me paid versus free. Again, if I actually got rid of 4 different, not just LLMs, but 4 different pieces of software that are completely obsolete now because of my use of Claude. One of them was Adobe, another one was ChatGPT. I got rid of Ubersuggest, and then there was one more. What was the 4th one? I can't remember right now, but there were 4, saving me in total about $200 a month. I've actually upgraded. I've gone to the $140 a month model with Claude simply because of 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm building websites. I'm using it for coding. So that's the number 1 reason. Number 2 reason is that there's certain restrictions in place when you're paying the pro model at $316 a year. I think you're allowed like 5 hours per day on the platform itself. And it basically, that's something called usage. and you will hit that usage very, very quickly, even on the pro plan. The free plan, it's even worse. The pro plan, it gets a little somewhat better. But on the plan that I'm on now, the $140 a month, it totally makes sense for me. So I freed up a bunch of different, funds, for me to be able to afford this, because I got rid of a bunch of different platforms, pieces of software that were completely obsolete for me. So step two would be to, try Cowork, download the application, download the desktop app, connect a folder from your computer, ask it to help you with a real task, something that you would actually need done. Step three would be writing your first context file and, telling Claude who you are and what you do, your name, your market, your specialty, how you communicate, your preferences. This takes about 10 minutes, but I'm telling you, it'll make everything a whole lot better. Step four would be to build your own skill. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. You'll be able to pick one task you do over and over and over again and build the skill. And all you have to do is come into the chat. You'll hit that / button. All of your skills will show up. You just pick one and then tell it exactly what you want, and boom, the thing gets built. Step five is to connect one tool via the MCP. So, I would probably start with your calendar or start with Inbox. Now, these are two of the most universal tools. And once Claude can see your inbox and your schedule, the value of it just goes through the roof. And remember, like, you're learning to drive here, right? Once you know how, you can jump in any car. So I've got a couple more slides left. So this is my Claude. Welcome. So a couple of things here. I'm going to move this up. I want to come over here into customize. We've talked a lot about skills here today. So up here in customize, you'll see there's a couple things here. We've got skills, we've got connectors, we've got some personal plugins. Okay, so we've got chat, we've got Cowork, we've got code. Right now I'm operating in chat. Okay, so if I click on skills, these are some of the skills that I've built out for my chat. So I've got real estate email marketing. I've got a quarterly business review, which you guys will get access to. I use Flowdesk as my email provider. So I built a Flowdesk email writer, Gmail email writer, a video to blog, which is something that I'm going to show you guys today as well. I've got a universal blog writer. I've got an SEO content builder for building out pages on my website. Real estate business plan, which is a skill I'm going to give you guys today as well. And then mission, vision, values, and then the skill creator. So those are some of the skills that I built. Connectors. So this is what we were talking about, right? We've got things like Calendly, Canva, we've got Gamma in here, we've got Gmail, we've got Google Calendar. So if I go into Gmail and I look at the connectors, you'll see a couple of things here, right? So we've got the opportunity, to get Gmail profile, list Gmail drafts, list Gmail labels, read Gmail email, read Gmail thread. I have this positioned on always allow. And what that does is it allows Claude to go into my Gmail to do all of these things, to read the email, to write the content, and then save it as a draft or even schedule the email out, right? So it can do the same thing with Google Calendar. So this really, what I like about this is that you really have the control as to how much you want the AI to see. For me, I trust it. I'm like, you know what? I just wanted to do a whole bunch of stuff for me. I wanted to write content. I wanted to take a video that I did, 6 months ago, and I wanted to turn it into a blog post. Okay. I wanted to do these things. I wanted to have access to my website, the back end of my site. I wanted to have access to my Chrome browser. Right now, you might be a little bit different, but it could be that I'm just a little bit crazy too. So Google Drive, we've got Notion here as well. Right. So I'm building out a bunch of content for Instagram, shorter form content. I worked with Claude, put together a project. I had this, went into Claude Code and had it scour the interwebs and come up with the most viral type content for real estate and AI that it could find. And it gave me like 21 different titles. And so now what I do is I take the title, I go into Claude Chat, and I have it write the script for me, right? It not only writes the script, but it basically tells me how to format the video itself, how to basically edit it, which is actually pretty cool too. So you got these things called connectors, these things called skills. Okay, so that's Claude Chat. This is Claude Cowork. So if I fire up a new task in here, you can see edit invoice and email to accounting. So that was just last week. I can have a skill ready to go in here as well. So all I do is I hit the / button. I can go in and ask it to do a Gmail email writer. You can see right here, this is everything that I put into the skill. Okay. So I can do that in Claude Cowork. So Claude Cowork, again, has access to my desktop. So if I was to do some of this work, this is where I'm going to do it from. So that inside of Cowork, it actually has access to my desktop. Now in Claude Code, if I wanted to actually build out websites or a web platform or something like that, this is where I would do that. I would say most people are probably not going to use Claude Code. They're the two most prominent things that they're going to wind up using will be chat and Cowork. Unless you're kind of nerdy like me and you like to, take an idea, concept, and I've got this tracking spreadsheet that I've been using in my real estate business for the last 12 years. I took the spreadsheet and I uploaded it into Manus, which is owned by Meta, and I had it build a website for me. Maybe I'll show you guys the website at the very end, so kind of get a look at it. So let's go back to chat real quick, and I'm going to show you guys just how to build a new skill. Okay, so what we'll do is we're in the dashboard. We're going to come over here to customize, and remember we have the skills tab right here. So we're going to click on that. Okay, we've got this little button, this little plus button up here. All we're going to do is hit that plus button. Okay, so we can go and browse the skills that are inside of Claude that other people have made available, or we can go ahead and create a skill. Now we can write our own skill instructions. We can upload a skill, meaning we could go into Claude Chat and have it write a skill for us and then save it as a file on our computer, and we can upload that skill into Claude here. Or we can just do it really simple, real easy, and click on Create with Claude. Okay, so it starts off with, let's create a skill together using your skill creator skill. First, ask me what skill should do. So we're going to head and click enter. Okay, so it's going to ask me a bunch of questions. Who are the recipients? Okay, oh, thank you. That's funny. I got one of my colleagues here can hear how hoarse I am on the call, and she brought me another glass of water. Thank you, Heidi. I appreciate you. Okay, who are the recipients? So open house communication can mean a lot of things. Which should have these handle? So I would say post open house follow-ups. Okay, channels. You said email and text. Should every communication generate both an email version and a text version? Yes. You'll give the skill each time. Will you typically have on hand when you run it, for example, property address, price, key features, photos, link, open house? So I will have the property address, day and time, and will provide lead first name. Okay, delivery. Should the skill just output the copy for you to paste, save email drafts directly to your Gmail, output text as copy and paste? So output text as copy and paste, save email drafts to Gmail. Okay, tone and length. I'll default to your standard rules. Like I said, no M dashes, one sentence per paragraph, grade 7, comprehension level, reply-based CTA, PS on broadcast emails. Text should be short and conversational. I assume any character limit you want to enforce, like under 320 characters, so it stays on SMS. Yes to the 320 characters. Volume is typically 1-to-1. No, it will be more on volume. And there we go. Okay, single follow-up email. So those are fine. Lead categorization, open house, you typically get a few types of attendees. We're going to go warm. Okay, so now it's got all of the information that it needs. So it's gonna build out this entire workflow for you. And once it's done, I'll show you exactly how it works. So I'm going to go back into Claude Chat. I'm going to hit that / button. We're going to find that open house email skill that it built. And then what we're going to do is just click on that, and I'm going to put in the property address. I'm going to put in the lead's first name, and it's going to go ahead and do the thing that we asked it to do. Okay, while it's doing that, I want to show you guys something that I did here a little bit earlier today before the call. Okay, so as you probably heard, I talked about this one skill that I created that basically saves me about $25 a month. So a friend of mine here was talking about how he's just started up a YouTube channel, and he's got about 25 videos on the channel, and he wants to convert the videos that he's created into blog posts on his website. And he's using this company that's charging him $25 a month to do this. And I'm like, well, like Claude should be able to take this over. Like, so I said to him, if I could build a skill, is this something that you probably use? He goes, yeah, absolutely. So I went and I built the skill. So it's basically a video to blog skill. Essentially what it does is it takes the URL of the YouTube video. Okay, so I start up the skill. I grab the URL of the YouTube, so the link to the YouTube video, I paste it in there. And essentially what it does is it goes to the video and it grabs the transcript of the video. And then it creates a blog post. Okay, and so a couple of different things here. So not only has it created the blog post here, but it's also given me the SEO metadata. So the focus keyword, okay, the SEO title, it's given the meta description, okay, it gives tags for the blog post, okay, and then gives me the actual category as well. It also shows me which internal links it's used inside of the blog post. So there's 4 internal links. So it's linked to different pages in different blog posts on my website. Okay, so again, following Google best SEO best practices guidelines. And then this is the really cool thing. What it does is suggested follow-up posts, right? So here are the suggested follow-up posts that it suggests that I should be using to further enhance the search engine optimization of the website through blogging. And so it was having a little bit of a hard time getting logged into my website. So I went back and said, use the Chrome MCP and log into the website directly. You can see there's some back and forth. And basically, this is what happened. I'm going to show you, see if we're on the right page here. Okay, so it hasn't deposited it there yet. Point being is that you can, if the MCP is working properly, sometimes like this technology is not perfect. Most times it works. Sometimes I've got to prompt it, reprompt it. So it'll come back in and it'll go back to my Chrome browser and go, oh, sorry, yeah, okay, I've got it. I've connected up now. And basically it takes the blog post that is written, if we can see the doc. So this is the doc that it wrote. This is the blog post that it wrote. Okay, there it is. That's the entire post. And right at the very beginning, it's going to have the video embed link. So it's going to have the link to the video itself. So the blog post will be written. All I have to do is go in and make sure that the SEO components are all they're where they're supposed to be. The meta description's in there. The SEO title is in there. Everything is ready to go. I review it. I hit publish, and it's ready to go. This is how you can essentially post one blog post every single day to your website that will improve the organic searchability of your website and could potentially wind up, having you surpass your colleagues and your competition in your marketplace in terms of searchability on the site. So let's go back to chat and see where things are at with this skill that we've asked it to build for us. Okay. Draft is written before we test. Okay, so before we test. Okay, CT escalation. So basically what's going to happen is it's going to save it as a file. And again, you'll be able to go into the file. You'll be able to make alterations to it. In fact, you don't even have to do it. You can ask Claude to make the alterations for you. So if you feel like you've missed something in the skill, you can ask Claude to go and make the alterations for you. There was I had a coaching client send me a link to this guy that he found. It's popped up in his algorithm. This guy had a video and he was talking about how he was using OpenClaw for building out agentic AI, like AI assistance for himself. And I'm like, well, you can do that same thing in Claude. So I downloaded his cheat sheet and I took it and I uploaded it into Claude and I said, can you do this inside of Claude? This is for Open Claude. It came back to me and said, yes, I can do all of the same stuff. So it went ahead and did all of the same thing, built out the entire system inside of my Claude, and that's basically where I came up with the morning brief. All right, so here we go. This is the test, right? So subject, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for coming through 2847 Lakeshore. Really nice to meet you. Open house, feel like whirlwind, everything about the home, blah, 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 blah. Okay, good. Touch 2, touch 3, touch 4. Okay, I like it. Okay, so it's just still writing out the touches. These are the SMS. Okay, so I can just go ahead and copy this and paste it into my text messages. Okay, I'm just gonna say it looks good. And like literally the last thing that you have to do there, the skill will pop up and it will say save to skills. You'll click on that little button and boom, that whole thing is saved now. So this just becomes part of your workday. So you go and you do an open house on a Saturday and you know that you have follow-ups to do. You come into Claude or you open up Claude before you leave the property. You open up that skill, right? So we're going to save the skill. So that's now saved into my Claude. So when I come over back into customize, into my skills, you'll see that it is open house follow-up right there. Okay, so this is how I would use this. So I get done at my open house. I hit that // button. I look for the open house follow-up. I put in Curtis Bain, 2424 Lakeshore Drive, Kelowna. Now, you could go really deep on this. You could actually provide a link to the realtor.ca website if you're in Canada, or realtor.com, or Zillow if you're in the US. You can provide that into this skill. So as part of this skill, so it could be, here's the person's name, here's the address of the property, here's a link to the property, and you could actually, ask the AI to provide the link to the property in the emails that you're sending, right? Property has a few things, dates and time. Okay, so you have a good understanding as to how this works, right? Okay, so let's stop the share. I'm going to open this back up to you guys now. Let's get into a really quick Q&A before I let you go. I've got 2 more things that I'm going to show you. Basically, 1 more thing that I'm going to show you. Any questions? Let's get into the chat here first. Let's see what we got. Okay, what do we got? Okay, morning summary. Okay, I think we got the answer. Morning brief, yeah. Yourselves, thank you. Yes, EOD, end of day, correct. Direct CEO, yes. It's confidential, yes, correct. That's a good point, Byron, yeah. How did it replace, oh, this is a good question. How did it replace Adobe? Interested to know how you use PDF docs by Claude. So it basically, it will alter any document that I put into it. There are these things called plugins. There is a PDF plugin for Claude. So if you utilize the PDF plugin inside of Claude, if I have a PDF document that I need to make changes to, I can upload it into Claude and I can make the changes right there in Claude itself. So I don't need Adobe Acrobat, Adobe Pro. I don't need any of that stuff anymore. So yeah, that's why I gave it up. I don't actually even need it anymore. So that's great. Video or web design. Oh, that was one thing that I was gonna show you guys. Is there a Flowdesk connection? No, there's not a Flowdesk connection. However, the workaround is if you basically tell it to use the Chrome MCP, like I mentioned. So what it'll do is it will log into your Flowdesk account, and then it will open up a new email for you, and then it will take the email that it's written and deposit it in there as a draft. Okay. A little slower, yes. Good point. Future potential probably start. Yeah. CTA, call to action. Yes, thank you. Good question. Simplest answer, start with Claude projects. Realtors can use set standing instructions. Yes, good question. Okay, you guys look at the chats if you're really interested in some of the if you're really interested in some of the regulatory stuff. Have you connected to Matrix or Exposure? I have not. Yeah, so I think those are good points. I think that MLSs across North America they're not going to have the time is very finite in terms of how much they have in order to open up their systems to AI. I think the marketplace is going to demand it. I'll tell you, I would love the opportunity to be able to have an AI connection into Matrix so that I could, utilize Claude to actually pull all of the comps, for a property that I'm doing a CMA on, as opposed to me having to actually go in there, pull the comps, download the PDFs, upload them into Claude, create the CMA, do that whole thing. I think it's a finite amount of time. Excuse me. And I think it's coming. I don't think MLSs are going to have an option at this point. So, all right, right on. This is crucial. Keep your data as anonymous as possible. It's not held to privacy standards. Yeah. Okay. How concerned are you about privacy and your data, your CRM? I'm not concerned at all. If you're really concerned, I wouldn't suggest using OpenClaw, because again, OpenClaw is basically has access to your entire desktop, to your entire network. There's this viral video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It happened about 2 months ago. I told the story earlier today. There's this guy. So he had created this agentic AI, this AI assistant using OpenClaw, and it went while he was sleeping. Okay, it went to Twilio and found his phone number. It created a phone number for itself. It went to 11 Labs, logged into his account, created a voice for itself, and then at 6 a.m., because it has access to his calendar, called him on his phone at 6 o'clock in the morning and woke him up. And he's like, it was like Steve, the AI assistant that he had built literally the day before, was calling him, which is absolutely insane. So he grabbed another device. He started recording this whole thing, had the AI assistant call him back, and he's having this conversation with this thing and basically says, okay, I need you to go to my computer. I need you to open up YouTube. I need you to find a video that I did on OpenClaw. So you see he pans the camera back to the monitor, and it shows the monitor acting autonomously. The browser window pops up, YouTube opens, search function is engaged, typing is happening, finds the video that he does and pulls it up on the monitor. Absolutely insane. So I would say that you probably need to, if you're really, really worried about data, if you're really worried about your client's data, maybe get a Mac Mini and don't have your client data on that separate desktop that you're using. That might be a good workaround. I'll let you guys decide that. At the end of the day, what I wanted to show you guys is the capabilities of what this AI can do, right? And how this is really going to be able to transform the business that you guys currently have today. And leveraging AI, I think is it's not the way of the future, you guys. It's the here and now. It really is. And so one last thing I'm going to show you guys really quickly. You probably, I don't know if you expected this, but who knows? I'll show you this one last slide here. If you're interested, I am doing a course next week. All right. That is the QR code. If you're interested, that will take you to the Stripe page. Week 1, or basically day 1, we're going to be just covering the foundations, or we're going to be replacing your assistant. You're going to leave with an executive assistant with a working AI assistant. Week 2, you'll be able to replace part of your marketing team. We're going to show you how to build out content calendars, blog posts, social content, Canva integration, workflows. And then day 3, replacing your copywriter, your email marketer, building out your own systems, and basically leave with a full client communication system. So that's April 16th, 17th, and 18th. That's next week. 2-hour sessions. The last AI training that I did, the sessions were only 90 minutes. And I didn't feel like that was enough time. The other thing is that we split it up via weeks as well. So it was we went for 4 weeks. This time I felt like, you know what, let's just do 3 days in a row. So you'll have enough time in between the days to get some of the homework and whatnot done. But ultimately, what this course is designed to do is to set you guys up inside of this platform that you can start using to really revolutionize how you're operating and running your real estate business, and everything from from a content standpoint to running and operating your emails, as well as drafting and putting together proposals for your clients, CMAs and whatnot, all that kind of stuff. So if you were to log in using the QR code over the course of the next 48 hours, if you use this code right here, Claude 2026, you'll get $100 off. Okay. So use the Claude 2026 as the coupon code, and you'll get $100 off. So that's April 16th, 17th, and 18th. Any questions? Anybody want to put up their hand and use their voice now that mine is almost fully gone?
The times, Kelly, I see someone does, Michael has his hand up now, but the times for those sessions in Pacific time, and also, is it Canadian or US funds?
It's US
Just
funds.
kidding. Just
US funds, Canadian funds. It's both. So the way that I've set up Stripe is it's both. So if you're in America, then you'll pay in US funds. If you're in Canada, you'll pay in Canadian funds. The times will be in the email that I send you guys that will come out a little bit later today.
And are the classes going to be recorded?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, okay, great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You bet. Paul?
You're muted, Paul.
Gotta unmute yourself, buddy.
Is that better?
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, great presentation. I appreciate it. Switching over from ChatGPT and being a fairly power user there, and having custom GPTs for a lot of different segments of my business.
Yeah.
Do custom GPTs, if I don't own them, or if I didn't create them, can I somehow still translate those into a skill, or would I be creating my own sort of skill based on what that custom GPT was doing for me?
No, man, I think that you can take the custom GPT and take the instructions that you've created inside of that custom GPT and translate that over into a skill. And so what you can do, remember when I was talking about how you can download all of your information from ChatGPT and upload it into Claude, and how I didn't do that? Well, one of the things that I would probably do is I would customize that information, meaning I would go through the line item by line item, get rid of all of the stuff that I don't want to translate over, and only keep the things that I want to translate over, like custom GPTs. And so what I would do is I would take that file, upload that into Claude with an instruction saying, I want you to create custom skills out of these GPTs within this file. And then boom, then you don't have to do it on your own. Like the Claude will just go and do the work for you.
Are you saying when you export the data, I haven't done that yet, but when you export the data from ChatGPT, does it export your custom?
Yes.
Or just the chats that you had within those?
No, it will export everything.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So if you've been using it for 3 years, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, I don't know if I want all that stuff on there anyway. So if I'm going to cancel ChatGPT, I probably don't want to keep those active. So I'd probably delete the account after, right? Delete all the so.
Yeah. Right on.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Order.
Go ahead, Joanne.
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
fellow former Winnipegger.
Okay.
In LA. So like Paul, I'm also paying for ChatGPT. So I think I would, before I cancel it, do all whatever downloading, decide, keep it on my desktop to decide, and then at what point am
Yeah,
I
for
saying
sure.
canceling, am I still going to be able to access?
Yeah. So here's what I did. So I went and I canceled ChatGPT. A box popped up and said, are you sure you want to cancel? Get 30 days for free. I was like, yes, please. So I took the 30 days for free. And then I put a reminder in my calendar to go and cancel the account at the 30-day mark, a 28-day mark, or whatever. And then what you can do at that point is you can start playing with Claude, start using it, get up to speed with it, get past the free version. Maybe you're going to start in with the pro version if you really like it. And look, Joanne, maybe you don't like it. Maybe you hate it. Maybe you're like, this guy's crazy. I'm just going to stick with what I know, right? Because again, this is just one more thing that you wind up having to learn. And there's so many of them out there right now. I just think that this LLM has far more capabilities than ChatGPT does at this time frame. And I think it's far superior. So, but only you can figure that out. Only you'll know.
I'm already hearing it from you. Thank you so much for today.
Yeah, you bet. Krista?
Wow, Kelly, I'm so blown away.
Oh, thanks.
My goodness. Yeah, Chat GPT. Goodbye. Hello, Claude. OpenClaw. Can you just?
Yeah.
I'm missing something. Can you just give me a little bit of clarity on what that's all about?
Yeah, so I mentioned this kind of at the beginning of the call. Essentially, the big difference between Claude and OpenClaw is OpenClaw will really act autonomously. If you remember, were you here? Were you on the call, Krista, when I was showing the podcast with Stephen Bartlett and Pierre Polyev? They were talking. Okay, so
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
one section in there where he talked about how he would be able to go into WhatsApp. He'd be able to send OpenClaw a message that would say, "I need you to go into Spotify. I need you to clip out this one certain section out of the video, out of the podcast. I need you to put captions on it, and I need you to tweet it out." OpenClaw will do all of that. Okay, Claude.ai right now at this point does not really have those capabilities. It does and it doesn't. Like there's it's fairly limited. It's not fairly, it's just limited. Okay, in comparison to what OpenClaw is. So if you want like true autonomous agentic AI, OpenClaw is the way to go. I can tell you, my understanding is that OpenClaw, and I've looked at it as well, I see Greek when I look at OpenClaw, and I consider myself relatively tech savvy. I see Greek when I look at this stuff, and I'm like, I don't think it's there yet for me, or at least I'm not there yet for it, right? And so who knows? Like maybe a month from now, I'll be talking about OpenClaw, and we'll be doing another course and whatever, right? I think at the end of the day, you figure out whether Claude is going to be a good fit for you. Play around with it. Get the pro version, test it out. If you like it, great. If you don't, go back to what you were using before. I mean, Gemini has some pretty good tools as well. They have something called Gems, and it's similar to what you can build up with Skills and Claude, right? And so if you're a Gemini power user, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Heidi, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Actually, you just alluded to what my question was. It's like, I started using Chat GPT. I mean, played around with it a few years ago, really started using it seriously the last few months. And now there's Claude. So we're leaving the Chat GPT in the dust. And with how rapid the acceleration is, what's next? Is there something we should just wait for instead?
Yeah, you absolutely can. I mean, it's changing so rapidly. It's changing so fast. I feel like ChatGPT was a really good foundation. Claude is like where the walls are starting to get stood up, and then the next iteration will be like, OpenClaw, where you're starting to see the roof line on the house that you're building. What's next after that? I honestly don't know. If you listen to guys like Gary Vee and Mark Cuban, some of these tech nerds that are out there, they talk about Google potentially owning 40% of the AI market space, which is a huge thing to be saying. Like, you think about how big OpenAI is, how big ChatGPT is. Like, we're talking about it like some ridiculous number in terms of users, hundreds of millions, if not billions of users of this platform, all paying $28 a month, right? Anthropic, same type of thing, like Grok, same type of thing. So these guys are talking about Google taking like 40% market share over the course of the next 3 to 5 years. Like, what's next? Well, if you believe what they say, in 3 years' time, we're going to be up against AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which is basically AI becomes sentient. Like, it's like Terminator, right? Maybe not Skynet, but it's going to have the ability to think for itself. So my firm belief is I got in with ChatGPT. I learned the foundation. Now I'm with Claude. I'm learning how to stand the walls. Eventually, at some point, I'll probably get over to OpenClaw, where I'm learning how to put the roof on the property. What comes after that, where we've got the windows in and the siding on and stuff like that, I have no idea. I really don't know. I can't tell you.
What you're saying is this a big enough jump from ChatGPT to invest ourselves in, because the possibilities are so much bigger?
I believe it is. Yeah,
okay.
I do. I believe it is. So, Michael, thanks for the question.
Hey,
And for the
thanks,
water.
Kelly. This was great. I have a VA that I found through Fiverr. She used to set up all my chat GTP stuff and help me respond to all agent inquiries, RICO complaints, compliance issues. It's a marvelous tool. Do you think anybody on Fiverr knows how to get into this Claude set? Can we rely on Fiverr to do that, or do I do it myself?
Oh man, that's a good question. I really don't know. I look at hopefully you don't hate on me for those Fiverr power users, but I look at Fiverr as kind of like the discount Upwork, right? There's another VA company called Upwork.com, and you can find pretty much anything there, like video editors to content writers to even fractional CEOs and CFOs and stuff like that. So I think you
My
probably
Fiverr is Canadian.
okay. So
I
you
keep
might
them Canadian just because.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. So you might have better luck on Upwork.com finding somebody that has really good knowledge around building out these these skills and the connections and utilizing some of the agentic stuff. I don't know. You just again going back to what Stephen Bartlett was talking about in terms of the next time he's hiring another employee, they have to have the skill set of the thing that he wants them to do, like think CEO. But at the same time, that person now has to be able to build out AI agents to be able to populate his boardroom, so to speak, right? To help him be able to do more with less of his time. And so, for you, same thing. I think if this current VA does not have that capability, then you should be finding somebody that does.
Are you familiar with Sintra? Because I use Sintra in
No.
my clothing brand, and it's
Okay.
like 12 little AI assistants, and they do a marvelous job. But that is again a separate entity to AI.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Never heard of them.
but hey,
Sorry,
I
man.
appreciate your time. I appreciate
Yeah.
your skill set. Always a pleasure, sir.
My pleasure. Good to see you. All right. I've taken up a lot of your guys' time. I said this was only going to be about an hour, but here we are in an hour and 24. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Watch for the email from me within the next hour or so. Claude will be writing it. It will be scheduled in my drafts, and you will get a copy of it. So we'll see you guys soon. If you have any questions, you guys
Kelly.
know how to get a hold of me. You can PM me on Facebook. You can get a hold of me on Instagram. Shoot me a text. Send me an email. You know how to get a hold of me. We'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you.